AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Hour number 3 after further review. Off and running. Musso in for Moscona. Landon Foster, Paul O'Neill along for the ride. Glad to have y'all along for the ride here as well as we kick off hour number 3. Maybe you're just getting in the car, leaving work. Appreciate you for making us a part of your commute and of your day. 2 hours in the books, one more to go. And it has been a jam-packed, really good show here today on this Tuesday. We had Shea Dixon with us in the first hour, Jason Ratcliffe from 64 Analytics talking some LSU baseball transfer portal here in the last hour. And now what we'll do here to start the third hour is kind of reset the news of the day, if you will. So LSU football, they got another one in the boat here in the 2027 recruiting class. Jaden Anding makes it official. 4-star safety out of Ruston, brother of current LSU Tiger defensive back Aiden Anding. After delaying the decision for a week, goes public with it here around a little after 12:30 here on this Tuesday. Now in the class. So again, 4-star out of Ruston, number 1 safety in the state of Louisiana, number 25 safety overall in the country per Rivals. This brings LSU to 16 commits. The class now ranks top 10 in the nation according to the Rivals industry rankings, and 5th in the SEC. So we had Shea Dixon on with us earlier. He kind of broke down plenty of this regarding Anding and his decision. Kind of just give you a little bit of a cliff notes here to just kind of reset it if you did miss that interview or you missed the news today while maybe you're at work or whatnot. Again, this was something that was supposed to happen last week on July 1st, Wednesday, July 1st. Got to stop myself from doing that. Jaden Anding was scheduled to commit. It was LSU, Ole Miss, heavy lean to LSU. Anding, of course, postpones that decision last week. And the reason being, Anding family representatives, LSU, they need to go over the deal again, cross a few more T's, dot a few more I's. Okay, that's just like, that's what it was. We talked about it with Shea last week. We talked about it again with today. They needed to cross a few more T's, dot a few more I's, get everybody to where they're comfortable with the deal, with what's happening for Anding, his projection at LSU, all of those things, get everybody on board. This was never really a, hey, wait a minute, here's Ole Miss over there making a push. LSU was always the choice. Everyone just needed to be on board and feel good about the direction that they were going. The Anding family is no stranger to LSU, okay? We talked about this a week ago as well when we were previewing what we thought was going to be this commitment and this decision. His older brother, Aiden, is on the team, injured right now. Remember, he has had the Achilles in spring practice on an interception, as a matter of fact. But Corey Raymond was chief in recruiting Aiden Anding. So the family got to know Corey. In that recruitment, Jake Olson, obviously chief in recruiting Jaden. Family gets to know yet another member of this LSU staff. They're very familiar with all the staff, giving, Aiden being on the team for a year. LSU had won the family over. This was LSU. So you get that decision now. Everything's crossed the finish line, T's crossed, I's dotted, and Aiden Anding's in the boat. How does he fit going forward? I think really is the interesting conversation. And where does LSU go from here, maybe with their defensive back class, right? So this gives you 3 DBs, 2 corners, now 1 safety. Remember, you were in the running for Davion Jones, but speaking of crossing T's and dotting I's, South Carolina dropped a bag on him at the last minute, and, well, he chose the Gamecocks. Good on you, young man. Go get your money. Go play for South Carolina. Maybe we'll see if Shane Beamer has a job after this year, and who knows what happens there. So you're left with the one safety commit. It's going to be really interesting to see if LSU does go out and add another. It would stand to reason that maybe they wanted to in this class, given their recruitment of Davion Jones. I understand Greedy James is listed as a safety, but LSU recruited him to play corner. Corey Raymond spearheaded that. That's his guy. It's expected he plays corner at LSU. So while, you might pull up the class and see two safeties, one safety right now with Jaden Anding, but it stands to reason they might want to. Keep an eye on that. It also could stand to reason that they don't. Why? Because that's a really deep room at LSU. And that's where we can really get into this conversation of where Jaden Anding fits. Because if you look at the room for this year, Ty Benefield and Tamarcus Cooley, those are your starting safeties. You're moving Deshaun Spears down to star. That's your front line there from that room. And that's a really good front line from that room. Like, I think we all feel pretty darn good about that. I mean, they can't stop raving about Ty Benefield. That guy's going to come here, play 1 year, and that's it. And he's off to the draft. That's it. Tamarcus Cooley would stand reason after he returned this year, goes to the draft next year. So you like your front line, but you also expect to lose both of those guys. Deshaun Spears, we'll see what happens there, but maybe he finds a home at Star, blows up, becomes a top 100 pick. Who knows? He's a junior. That could happen. What's going to be interesting is to see if one of these safeties behind Benefield and Cooley can really have a season similar to Spears a year ago, where you saw them flash and you saw the moments and they got some playing time and they got their feet wet and then they're really in line for a starting role in 2027. Guys like Jace Thomas out of Destrehan, who redshirted a year ago, but that defensive staff, they are super high on him. You went out, you got Fahim Delane, Mansour's younger brother, in the transfer portal. He was a top 100 player when he committed to Ohio State. He's a sophomore. He's got multiple years of eligibility left. Maybe can one of those guys have that type of season that you saw Deshaun Spears have a year ago and really put themselves in line for a start? But already, look, that's 5 guys we just went through. That's really crowded room for this year. That doesn't even get into the 3 safeties LSU added in their recruiting class a year ago. Aiden Hall, Isaiah Washington. They really headed up that, but you added 3. It's a busy room. And now you add Andy. And you go and you look and you say, okay, well, where's the path to the field? Well, it might not be immediate. And that's okay. In fact, that tracks with the way LSU has built this class, not only in the transfer portal, but in high school. I mean, we've talked about it a lot on this show. I mean, I think it's probably easier to find the amount of shows that we haven't mentioned a conversation in this vein than the ones that we have. So what they've done is they've gone out, they've gotten guys who it's like, okay, look, come, maybe you sit for a year, get ingrained in the culture, in the system, and then bam, you're next. Like we just talked about with a Jace Thomas potentially this year. Or hell, like you, I know it's different staff from a head coach and all that perspective, but the defensive staff's still the same from last year. Like you saw with Deshaun Spears. He kind of burst onto the scene a little bit, really carved out a role. You knew he was going to be in line for something. He entered the portal for a minute, and they were like, whoa. Come back. Come on. Hold on. We got a spot for you here. You've earned it. Can something similar with that happen with, like we said, a Jace Thomas, a Fahim Delane? They step in, and then the very net, and then you end up, with a guy like Andy on campus. Can he be that guy as a freshman who potentially cracks that rotation in a similar role than the guys before him and put himself in line to go be a starter the year after. The way they've built the depth, it feels like they're just in a really good spot for this to cycle. And that's encouraging in the defensive backfield. It's encouraging anywhere on your team. But really for a program like LSU with so much history there in the defensive backfield, it feels like they're in that mode now where they've got it. If everyone buys in and stays put for a couple seasons to try and earn their spot, they're in a place where they can really just kind of cycle through these guys they've got. And you know what? I'm not going to sit here and tell you that everyone's going to stay. We all know better than that, right? We're smarter than that. We know better. But the portal's always there. You can go get Ty Benefields. You can go get, Fahim Delanes and Tamarcus Cooley's like you did the year prior. And those guys can be your foundation while you continue to bring along some of the younger guys who did stick it out. But, Lane Kiffin has talked about it. They want guys who are going to stay. And you can absolutely see it impacting the way that they've gone about building this class and just their recruiting strategy in general. Jaden Andy seems to be one of the latest in that line because he's joined in a crowded room, but one that does feel like it is set up to really cycle. So it's a big get for LSU. You get him away from an SEC rival. That's massive, as well. Keep a top 10 player in the state home, which is always a big deal here for LSU and in Louisiana. And look, it bumps you up into a top 10 recruiting class here, for the time being. Those things fluctuate. But Jaden Andy, the latest addition for LSU, 4-star safety out of Ruston. Tigers now at 16 commits for 2027. All right, we'll grab a break. We'll come back. Actually, before we do that, AFR is brought to you by South Point Volkswagen.
Summer is here. Maybe you're looking to upgrade that ride before the family road trip. Get on by South Point Volkswagen, airline just north of Highland, or online at southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. Told you for years, they're Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. Maybe you need that full-size family SUV. Make sure you go test drive the Atlas. That's what Erica drives. It's the 3-row, 7-seater family SUV. Tons of space to accommodate our family, all our bags, all the beach stuff as well. Go test drive one today at South Point Volkswagen. Remember, you can shop them online, new and certified pre-owned. So if you're looking for a pre-owned vehicle, great selection. Say it all the time. They're the largest volume Volkswagen dealer. They move more new inventory, so they have more pre-owned trade-in inventory as well. So make sure you shop their pre-owned vehicles over at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland or southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction?
All right, it's after further review here on a Tuesday, presented by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Musso in for Moscona. We'll grab a break. We'll come back on the other side. There's some college football playoff projections out that I think you might find interesting. We'll dive into that here next on AFR.
After further review.
We're brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Siegen near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Don Moore, Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. You know those 4 locations, and what an awesome time to get by Clegg's Nursery because they still have every single day shipments of flowers coming in, plants, trees, shrubs. You want to beautify the exterior of your home. You want to add that pop of color to your flower bed, to your patio pots. Maybe you got unwanted pests like ants or snakes or mosquitoes, wasps. They can help you take care of all of them. Maybe you got weeds coming up in your lawn. You want to get rid of that. Maybe you got dead spots in your lawn. The horticulturists, the professionals at Clegg's Nursery have the knowledge, the know-how, the expertise, and all the products you need to win Yard of the Month every month for your whole life. Guaranteed. Actually, I can't back that up. You have to do some of the work, too. It's Clegg's Nursery.
Ask your family dentist. Do your research.
Powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
AFR is brought to you by Parish Restoration. Kill mold, remove odor, other harmful pathogens, commercial or residential. As a matter of fact, Parish Restoration, I love the process, by the way. If you go to the website at parishrestoration.com, you can see videos of their patented non-toxic dry fog treatment. So you see exactly what it looks like. Very cool. But they have fogged over at Parish Restoration they fogged one of the largest buildings in the entire state of Louisiana. So it doesn't matter if it's your office building, your church, whatever it may be, school, or your home. They can even fog your car. Maybe your car has a weird odor, musty smell. Maybe you bought a used car from a smoker and you can't get that smoky smell out. This will do it. They'll come while you're at work, fog it. By the time you're done with work for the day, boom, you're back in a clean smelling, fresh smelling vehicle. It's Parish Restoration. Learn more at parishrestoration.com. Parishrestoration.com. Do business with someone you know. Parishrestoration.com.
All right, continuing along here on AFR, presented by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Musso in for Moscona. Well, it's July 7th. You know what that means? College football playoff projections. Naturally, right? Well, yeah, naturally. That's just what this time of the year is. But, look, man, they can create debate. I get it. It's one person's opinion. But it is interesting. And in a sense, it can reinforce feelings that you may have about certain teams, and in this case, LSU. So Blake Topmeyer and John Adams, different John Adams, not that John Adams, different guy entirely. Over at USA Today, they host a podcast, SEC Football Unfiltered. We had Blake on a few weeks back for a conversation that they had. They were they basically were just breaking down the league, and they were giving thoughts on each team. So we had him on. Hey, can we give your thoughts on each team? So Blake and John on SEC Football Unfiltered on the USC Network, they took a stab at college football playoff projections. Interesting the way that they did it. They each kind of made a pick. They took it in order, like, all right, who's the 1 seed? Who's the 2? Who's the 3? So on and so forth. But they alternated picks. Like, for instance, John Adams gave the first pick. He selected Miami as the number 1 seed. Topmeyer reacted. Then Topmeyer picked Notre Dame for the number 2 seed. Adam reacted. Things of that nature. And there's a brief write-up of it over at USA Today. We kind of just run through it a little bit here. So we said Miami, Notre Dame, 1, 2. Texas was their 3. Oregon was their 4. Georgia was their 5. And I got to tell you, man, Georgia, kind of joked about this when we had Chris Gordy on the show yesterday. Everybody's talking about Texas and Arch Manning. And all right, the hype's real this year, man. You saw it at the end of last season. Now he gets a full season of that. That defense for Texas, they're nasty. Texas, this is their year. LSU, Lane Kiffin, they invested all of that money. Man, look out for the Tigers. LSU's got to make a playoff run. Hey, can Pete Golding really keep it up? That's all the talking points you hear in the SEC. Like, those are the big storylines. You know what you don't hear? Georgia. It's all quiet around Georgia. And I can't help but imagine Kirby Smart just sitting there going, like, rubbing his hands together like, oh, yeah, that's what we like. No one talk about Georgia right now. Georgia's going to be awesome this year. Remember how young they were a year ago? All those guys are a year older. Like, that's worked for Georgia. Their defense should be much improved as well. Gunnar Stockton another year. So, like, Georgia's going to be awesome. I'm actually really looking forward to asking Phil Steele about that when we have him here on Friday. Because it's just, how is no one talking about Georgia? But anyway, Georgia was the 5 seed here. Ohio State, the 6. Not a surprise. Maybe the biggest surprise there is Ohio State's the 6. Texas Tech, 7, which is interesting given no Sorsby and all of that. Indiana, 8. LSU was 9th. Texas A&M, 10th. USC, 11th, which I'll come back to because I have thoughts on that. And Boise State out of the Pac-12 as the G6 representative there. That's right. The Pac-12 is back, if you want to call it that. It's really just a bunch of state schools and Gonzaga when it comes to basketball. So that's the 12 that they went through. Again, it reinforces LSU. The expectation is, yes, playoff for LSU with what you invested in the portal, obviously what you invested in the staff and getting Lane Kiffin here. It was John Adams, if you're curious, who selected LSU. And Topmeyer's reaction was, quote, I think LSU is going to land in the 9-3 to 10-2 range. Is Sam Leavitt going to be back to form? If he's healthy and thriving, I feel better about this pick, but any pick is a risk at this stage. Yeah, I mean, when you get to, picks 9 through 12. Really kind of once you get through probably the top 5, I would say. Any picks really kind of a risk there. So that makes sense. For what it's worth, I agree with him. I mean, I think LSU lands 9-3, 10-2. I'll tell you now, I think LSU goes 9-3. But I'm also way more intimidated by their schedule than I think most are, even on the national stage when talking about LSU this year. So I do think they end up 9-3. The interesting thing is I think with LSU's schedule and the strength of it, depending on how it falls, 9-3 actually could get you in. Like LSU could potentially be with that schedule, provided you don't like haul off and do what Texas did a year ago and lose to an atrocious Florida team like the Longhorns did last year, because that has to matter, and the committee showed you that that's going to matter. If you win the games you're supposed to win, and let the rest of this fall where it may, and it falls 9-3, LSU could be the first 9-3 team to get in. Regular season record, I'm talking. I know Alabama got in with 3 losses a year ago, but loss number 3 was in the SEC championship. Like, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. Right? Let's say LSU wins the games they're supposed to win, right? They beat Auburn, they beat State, they beat Kentucky, they beat Clemson. Like, they win, and obviously, you know, you're in-state schools. You win those games you're supposed to lose. You're supposed to win. And then say LSU goes on the road in Oxford in that madhouse, wins that game. Come back home, they lose to A&M, who's a projected playoff team. Let's say you drop 2 games in November, call it. So let's say you lose to Bama and you lose to Tennessee, but you beat Texas, and that's how you get to your 9-3. That's a strong resume. Obviously, you'd have to see how the rest of the nation and the field plays out, and you know who else is in contention. But that's a really strong resume. You don't have an ugly loss on there, and you've got 2 really nice wins and 2 losses that aren't going to kill you. And 3 losses really that aren't going to kill you. Like, I could see that happening. It'd be much easier if they just went 10-2. And I mean, they're going to be in, given the schedule that they played. Provided, again, one of those 2 losses isn't just to like a bad Mississippi State team. But it reinforces. So it's, you know, that's the thing. We all understand what the expectation is for LSU. The other thing that's really interesting in this is LSU's the 9, which means they'd play the 8, which means LSU at Indiana in the college football playoff opening round. Yes, please. I'd like to see that. That feels like a game that we would all enjoy watching. I mean, Cignetti versus Kiffin. Oh my goodness. Just the press conferences alone with that. Just those 2 personalities. I say the press conferences. Sometimes Lane doesn't really like those and like to have fun. But the 2 personalities there, Kiffin versus Cignetti, that would be awesome. Would you love for LSU to be the home team in a potential matchup like that? Sure. But I mean, everything around that potential game, if that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what will. Again, it's just a projection, and who knows if that happens. But, man, that'd be a lot of fun. I said I'd come back to USC. Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't buy that for a second. We kind of talked about this a little bit. I don't know if it was last week or another time that I was in for Matt. I'm not going to say it can't happen. I'm just going to say I'll be fall over stunned if USC makes the college football playoff. They return a bunch of starters, including Jaden Mayava at quarterback, who was awesome in Lincoln Riley's system a year ago, and that's great. Gary Patterson's going to coordinate the defense now. Maybe that finally changes things for Lincoln Riley. That's great. But USC has to play Oregon, Washington, Penn State, Ohio State, and Indiana all in the same season. Really, Washington and Penn State, whatever, just Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana in the same season is a bear. You add in Penn State and Washington, well, that's 5 games. I mean, SC could lose all 5 of those. The schedule's just too strong for me to really look at that and believe that USC can make the playoff. I think they'll be talented. They're going to be one of those teams that's a lot better than their record, just because of the bear of a schedule that awaits them. And then it'll be really interesting to see what happens. Really interesting to see what happens with Lincoln Riley this offseason if they finally get impatient over there in La La Land with what they've invested and the lack of return on their investment there with Coach Riley. Man, remember when everybody thought he was going to be the LSU coach? Fun times indeed. College football playoff projections. We'll see how it all plays out when they actually start playing games. In the meantime, AFR is brought to you by Parish Restoration. Or we already did that. AFR is brought to you by Evermore.
Brought to you by Evermore. Drink Evermore.
Oops.
EVAMOR. Evermore.com. Evermore.com. For elite athletes, for someone who just wants a healthier lifestyle. Maybe you're a parent, you want a healthier option for your children. Evermore is a great option. I would highly encourage you, bottom line, if you're drinking tap water, don't. Bare minimum, filter your tap water. But the best option is Evermore. This is natural artesian water. It's underground aquifers on the north shore of Lake Pontchartrain, right there in Covington. They dug a well into that aquifer. And, I mean, it's literally thousands of years in the making. That's why they call it Mother Nature's masterpiece. That's what they're pulling out of the ground. The only filtration is take, the sediment from the ground out of the water, and it goes right into the bottle. So it never touches air until you uncap it, take that first delicious sip. Learn more where you can buy it, great retailers or online, EVAMOR, Evermore.com.
Forgot to mark it on my sheet. That's why we have the pen to mark lives off there on the sheet. Look down, saw Parish. My bad. We are still brought to you by Parish Restoration, obviously. All right, we'll grab a break. We'll come back on the other side. It's AFR presented by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. On the other side of the break, we'll dive back into Big 12 Media Days. Joey McGuire, Texas Tech, they took their turn at the podium today in the main room over there at Big 12 Media Days. And Joey McGuire talked about the damage that might have been done to Texas Tech reputation with the whole Brendan Sorsby thing. We'll let you hear what he said next on AFR.
After further review.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured and it's not your fault, do what injured people in Louisiana have done for more than 30 years. Call Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. 888-8888. It's all eights. 888-8888. I don't even need to give you the area code because no matter where you are in the state, it doesn't matter. Just dial 888-8888 for Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Gordon does an awesome job, man. He's a great person. They've been so invested in our communities with all the charitable and service work that they do. They give back into the communities that they represent, no matter what time of year. If it's the bike giveaway for kids around Christmas time, if it's the laptop giveaway around back to school time, if it's the charitable work they do during October for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they're always involved in the community. We tell you all the time, of course, about the G team and what Gordon's done with NIL and the opportunities that he's afforded student athletes. Just a great, great community partner. If you've been injured, you need representation, go to getgordon.com. That's getgordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
We know the...
Brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, shawbillstire.com. 18 locations in South Louisiana. Find the location nearest you at shawbillstire.com. Bumper-to-bumper auto service and name brand tires at wholesale prices. They will always find a way to get you the best possible price for the best possible tires on the road. That's what they do at Shawbills. And when they get you in by selling you the best tires, the cheapest price possible, they're going to treat you like family, and they're going to treat you so good, you're going to keep coming back year after year after year, every time you need anything for your vehicle. Tires rotated, oil changed, check engine light on, brakes squeaking, whatever's wrong with your vehicle, bring it to Shawbills. Let them give it the once-over, and you can always schedule online, so it's convenient. ShawBillsTire.com. Find the location nearest you at ShawBillsTire.com. Shop tires online at ShawBillsTire.com. Be sure to ask about the Shawbills credit card as well, because you can save $50 off your first purchase when you use the Shawbills credit card only at Shawbills.
Our Big 12 Media Days got underway here on Tuesday. They'll wrap up tomorrow. naturally, look, with everything going on in college football, when you have one of the Power Four conference having their media days and any news that comes out of that, it's going to be relevant to the future of of the sport, and we'll talk about it. We gave some comments on Brett Yormark's opening remarks with the college football playoff, with Brendan Sorsby, with the future of the Big 12 championship game a little bit earlier in the show. Joey McGuire and Texas Tech also took their turn at the podium today over there in the main room. And it was actually kind of funny. McGuire, right when he got up to the podium, and he quipped. He was like, I know nobody here believes it, but I'm actually happy to see all y'all and fired up to be here. And obviously it's funny, like, haha, we get it. But also, hey man, Brendan Sorsby. And there was no shortage of questions there, but the one that was probably gave the most interesting answer was Joey McGuire, and this is a long cut. It's about a minute and a half, but I want to play all of it just so you can get the full context of everything that he says, and then we'll kind of react to it a little bit. But Joey McGuire was asked about the harm and damage that Texas Tech did to its reputation throughout this entire Brendan Sorsby saga.
The thing for me that through all of this, my president and my AD, who are good friends of mine, who believed in me, who hired me, they went through a lot. Like, if you look as a whole, there were not a lot of coaches that said really a whole lot. There was some funny jabs taken by some coaches, but there wasn't a lot of coaches that just really came out and said a lot of different things. And so for my peers, I got a lot of support. Eric Morris, the first day any news broke, called me and said, hey man, I'm just doing a well check. He's a good friend of mine. Kalani is a great friend of mine. Said the same thing. Kenny Dillingham made a joke in a group text and then called me and said, I was kidding. I said, Kenny, dude, I get it, man. So for me, my peers, I had so much support from my peers, and it was tough to see Kirby and President Skubanek have to go through that. And so, I hate that for them. The thing that we really try to focus on is the Red Raiders and our alumni base and our boosters. And so that's who, whenever I've talked to, answered any emails, text, or anything like that, those are the ones that I concerned to make sure they understand where we were coming from.
Center right in the back.
Okay. So, I think it's great that Joey McGuire felt like he got a lot of support, especially within Texas Tech. But, of course you were going to, because y'all were all fighting the same fight. Like, nobody within Texas Tech. Of course your AD and your president and chancellor and yada, yada. Oh, of course they're going to have your back. They're fighting the same fight you are. So I don't really care about that. That's great, man, that some of the Big 12 coaches reached out to you. You know who didn't? Sonny Dykes. Sonny Dykes at TCU lambasted this. No, he wasn't mentioned. That's fine, Joey McGuire, that you got a lot of support. But if we're actually talking about Texas Tech's reputation in this, yeah, there was damage done to it. No, y'all didn't have support. In fact, no one supported this. All those coaches could have been like, hey, wellness check on you, man, but Kenny Dillingham didn't want this guy playing. None of them did. They were just able to have their ADs go out there and be disgusted for them. There was a whole call where ADs just got on there and voiced their disgruntled opinions, aired all their grievances about this. And yeah, Texas Tech's reputation is tarnished for this. And it will be forever. Like, this will follow them. Kirby Hocutt, the athletic director, their president, if those guys ever move on to other jobs, like, this follows them there. And it should be. And, he says, Jeremy Garcia, I'm sorry they had to go through that. I'm not. I don't feel 1 ounce of sympathy for them. Not one bit. They did it to themselves. They were all content over there. No matter what they say. Doesn't matter what Joey McGuire says. Doesn't matter what Kobe Hocutt says. Doesn't matter what Cody Campbell says. Doesn't matter what Texas Tech alumni say. It doesn't matter what their boosters say. It doesn't matter what their presidents say. None of that matters. Their actions showed you they were all content with pursuing every bit of legal action to allow a player who broke the one cardinal rule to play. And they were going to allow him to do that by hiding behind the fact that they were getting him the help that he needed. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Texas Tech wasn't getting him the help that he needed. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Brennan Sorsby didn't need help. That's not my place. What I am going to say, though, and I've said it before when we've talked about this, is the fact that they are hiding behind that to allow him to play does a complete disservice to the help they're getting him and anybody else who's needed help with any type of addiction in their lives. That's a to me, that's a slap in the face. So yeah, your reputation is tarnished, and it should be. And that should follow you forever because, as everyone said, you could have easily gotten him all the help he needed while ruling him ineligible. But you weren't going to do that. You were content because it gave you the best chance to win football games. To hell with everybody else. To hell with the fact that he broke the one thing that everyone agrees on that you cannot do, bet on your own sport and your own team. You were going to hide behind his gambling addiction and getting him the help he need in order for him to play because it gave you the best chance to win football games. Yeah. To me, who's seen people go through heavy addiction, that's a slap in the face. As I'm sure it is to anyone else who's dealt with that because you're using that as a guise because you want him to play and play football. That's your reputation. I'll answer it for you, Joey McGuire. I'm glad you got, quote unquote support. But you were complicit in that just like everybody else over at Texas Tech. And quite frankly, you should all be ashamed of yourselves. So that's Texas Tech's reputation going forward, in my opinion. But hey, he was happy to be there today. So good on you, Joey McGuire, for being happy to be there. All right. We'll grab a break. We'll come back on the other side of said break. Close out a Tuesday edition of AFR, presented by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. We'll welcome Jimmy Ott onto the show. It's time for Otter Locks. That's next here on AFR.
AFR.
Buying or selling, commercial or residential, think real estate, think Darren James. You want an unbelievable customer service experience, you want Darren James. It's part of his core values for Darren and his team. Darren tells me all the time, as long as I've known Darren, he said, my goal one day is to put myself out of business. I want to create such a turnkey, seamless, easy process for people to be able to buy and sell homes that they don't even need me anymore. Well, as Darren continues on that path in the meantime, he's going to help you sell your home. So if you need to sell your home, you want a realtor that quite literally sells more homes than anyone, you want Darren James. Last year, Wall Street Journal is listed the top 1% of realtors in America, Darren James. So need to sell your home fast for the most amount of money, you need Darren James. 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
If you're looking for work, look no further than River Parish Contractors. So many reasons to go to work with my friends at River Parish Contractors. Look, first and foremost, overtime. If you want to work overtime, you can work as much overtime as you possibly want at River Parish Contractors. They got it. You can have it. You want to work day shifts or night shifts? You can do that. You want to work night shift when it's cooler? Great. River Parish Contractors. All of PTO, great benefits. All of the work is local as well. So one of the things they love to say at River Parish Contractors is you will be at home with your family every night for dinner. You want to go watch your kids' ball games? You can do that when you work at River Parish Contractors. From Chalmette to Baton Rouge, of course, The shop is right there in Reserve. You can always learn more at rpcontractors.com, rpcontractors.com. Check out the careers page right now at River Parish Contractors, online at rpcontractors.com.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Closing out a Tuesday edition here of AFR. Musso in for Moscona, brought to you by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Only one way to close out the show. It's time for Otter Locks. All right. It's okay. Let's get to Jimmy. He can get the sponsor, their mention and whatnot. Otter, how's it going, man? Oh, do you have Otter? Otter, you got me? There he is. Otter, how we doing?
Good, brother. What's going on?
Oh, nothing much. Doing live radio.
Got a national feed in my ear. Yeah.
Pull the Sports Center feed down. Pull the Sports Center. Select one. Fader. Down. Better, Otter?
Yeah.
All right. What we got tonight, Otter? A little six-pack?
Yeah, waiting for this penalty kick for Switzerland, and they get it. They advance. So the Kansas City to take on Argentina 4-3 in PKs. Let's get to Washington. Well, they busted out. They were down 6-1. They won for us last night, 12-11. We're going to go on them again tonight. Houston's throwing a suspect pitcher. Nationals, after a brief dip to below the Dodgers, now again the number one scoring team in MLB. Nationals -120. Rain delay right now. Baltimore and the Cubbies, but we are going with Baltimore against Cubbies. Baltimore swinging the bat's good, man. So are the Cubbies. I like the over in this one as well, but I think just a better matchup. Cubs starter tonight is only his second or third since he's coming off the IL. He's been pretty mediocre since the return. They're underway in Detroit. A's in Detroit, no score. If you get on this now, you'll even get a better number. This thing is up to 196.
I'm looking
196.
I'm looking at 2-0 Detroit, and it's up to 478.
Oh well, no, not. Well, I'm behind. Then, as usual, the TVs are behind the digital score. So, no, but we got some work to do in that one. So, yeah, Oakland's in a hole. Mississippi State again, man. He's been really good, but gives up a bomb early. So we'll have to see. Seattle +105. This is the kind of the long road trip coming back home. Got to take care of the girlfriend, wife, kids, everything else. It's usually a little bit of a stutter spot for the team that's coming off that long trip. That's what Miami's doing. Also, Miami was fortunate enough to play in Summerlin, in the suburbs of Las Vegas, where it's very hitter-friendly. They played in Coors Field, so they might be coming back to a little bit of reality back home and hitting in their dimensions there. Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Schemes gave up a 2-out double, just missed a home run for the first baseman for the Atlanta Braves. They no score at the middle of one. We're going with the over 8 in that one. So you might even get a better price.
I would say the Braves did push the run across. It's at 9.5 now. Do you still like it?
Okay. No, not at 9.5. So Atlanta, Pittsburgh over 8 is what we gave out earlier today. And Milwaukee won game 1, another 1-run win. We got them going again tonight. We'll continue to ride one of the best teams in the National League. Certainly, they're kind of making a threat to run away with the National League Central. Go with the Brewers again, man. Talk about this college coach's son. They pick on Vitello a lot. Doesn't have much of a roster. His former Arizona State coach is doing just fine in Milwaukee. Back-to-back manager of the year, and he's got his team in first place again.
That's very true. I didn't even really think about that, Otter. That's actually an excellent point there with the Brewers and their manager. So we got Nationals, Orioles, A's. Needed to get on that one a little earlier. Mariners. That's still no score. Braves, Pirates over 8. Again, go to the website, get the plays earlier when he puts them out. and the Brewers. Those are your Otter Locks. Where are y'all tomorrow, Jimmy?
We're at Dick's House of Sport in the Mall, Louisiana. Lots of come on by and pick up a ballistic jersey or something. Man.
Hey, man, Otter, those,
go get a Messi. We got Messi.
I'm about to say,
jersey.
Otter, those ballistic jerseys might be on the clearance rack tomorrow, big man. That was a rough go for the boys last night. My goodness.
Yeah, to say the least. God bless America.
Yeah.
All right. Back to the drawing board.
There you go. We'll watch it again in the Olympics, maybe when the Summer Olympics come back around in LA.
I've been waiting for 35 years. They tell me we're getting better. So,
well,
anyway.
that's what they say. Y'all go see Hanny and Ott tomorrow at Dick's House of Sport, live at lunch, 11 to 1 here on 104.5 ESPN. Otter, we appreciate it, man. We'll do it again tomorrow.
All right. Good luck.
Good luck. That is Jimmy Ott with your Otter Locks here on a Tuesday edition of AFR. That's just about going to do it here for us on today's show. Good show. If you missed any of it, AFR On Demand, presented by Brett Golf, YouTube, AFR LSU, AFR Saints, anywhere you get your podcast, just search After Further Review. Thank you to Luke. Thank you to Paul. Thank you to all of you. Join us tomorrow. We're back here at 3 for AFR.